That necklace.
Alma, it can't be. My late wife was wearing it when she died. Wait! Please! That necklace, where did you get it?
The moment Michael's eyes locked onto the silver locket dangling from the young woman's neck, his entire world stopped. His coffee cup slipped from his hand, shattering across the cobblestone market square. Because that necklace, that exact one-of-a-kind necklace, was the last thing he'd seen on his wife Felicia before the accident that killed her 3 years ago. Before we dive into this story, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and tell us in the comment where you are watching from. Now let's get into the story. Michael Hammond hadn't planned on going to the farmer's market that Saturday morning. For 3 years, he'd avoided the place like a plague zone. The market had been Felicia's domain. Her Saturday morning ritual, her happy place. She would drag him there every weekend, her hand warm in his, pointing out organic tomatoes and handmade soaps with the enthusiasm of a child in a candy store. But his sister Rachel had insisted. "You can't hide in that house forever, Mike," she'd said over the phone the night before. "Felicia wouldn't want that. You need to start living again." So there he was, forcing himself through the crowded aisles, pretending the weight in his chest wasn't suffocating him. The market buzzed with life. Vendors calling out prices, children laughing, the scent of fresh bread mingling with lavender sachets. It all felt obscene somehow, all this life continuing while Felicia's had ended. He'd just purchased a coffee from the corner stand, more out of obligation than desire, when he saw her. The girl couldn't have been more than 23, with auburn hair pulled into a messy bun and paint stains on her denim jacket. She was examining pottery at a nearby stall, tilting a ceramic bowl toward the morning light. Pretty, in an effortless way that reminded him of art students from his university days. None of that mattered. What mattered was the necklace. It hung delicate and silver against her collarbone, a locket in the shape of a crescent moon, with tiny stars etched across its surface. Michael had commissioned that piece from a jeweler in Prague during their honeymoon. He'd worked with the craftsman for hours, describing exactly how the stars should be positioned, how the moon should curve. There was a small imperfection on the back, a barely visible dent where the jeweler's tool had slipped. This was that necklace. Not a similar one. Not a copy. That necklace. The one Felicia had been wearing the night of the accident. The night the bridge collapsed during the storm. The night she'd been driving home alone from her sister's house, when the flash flood swept 6 cars into the ravine. 5 bodies recovered. 1 never found. Felicia's body. Never found. The coffee cup exploded against the ground. Brown liquid splashed across his shoes. Several people turned to look, but Michael couldn't move. His vision tunneled. His heart hammered against his ribs like a caged animal. The girl glanced up at the sound, meeting his eyes briefly. There was no recognition there, no guilt, no awareness that she was wearing a missing woman's jewelry. Just a polite, slightly concerned smile before she turned back to the pottery. Michael's feet moved before his brain caught up. He pushed through the crowd, nearly knocking over a woman with a stroller, his eyes never leaving the girl. She was moving now, weaving between stalls, the necklace catching sunlight like a beacon. "Excuse me." His voice came out strangled, desperate. "Miss, please wait." She didn't hear him over the market noise. Or maybe she did and chose to ignore the wild-eyed man shouting at her. She disappeared around a corner, into the section where vendors sold flowers and plants. Michael ran. Actually ran, his 50-year-old knees protesting. His breath coming in gasps. He rounded the corner and spotted her examining a potted orchid, the necklace swaying gently as she leaned forward. "Miss." He reached her, gripping her arm perhaps too tightly. She spun around, eyes wide with alarm. Close, she looked even younger. "That necklace. Where did you get that necklace?" She pulled her arm free, stepping back. "Excuse me. The necklace you're wearing. The moon. Where did you get it?" His voice was shaking now, barely controlled. Her hand went to her throat, fingers touching the silver. A flash of something crossed her face. Was it fear? Guilt? It disappeared too quickly for Michael to be sure. Why? What's this about? Please. Michael could hear the pleading in his own voice, could feel tears burning at the corners of his eyes. Please, just tell me where you got it. The girl's expression shifted from alarmed to uncertain. Her eyes darted around, probably looking for security, for help, for an escape from this crazy man accosting her. But something in his face must have reached her because her shoulders relaxed slightly. It was a gift, she said carefully, her voice barely above a whisper. From a friend. What friend? Who gave it to you? I don't think I should. My wife. The words tumbled out. My wife was wearing that necklace when she died. 3 years ago. In the bridge collapse on Highway 47. Do you remember that? 6 cars swept into the ravine. 5 bodies found. 1 missing. His voice cracked. That was my wife. And that necklace, that exact necklace, was around her neck the last time I saw her alive. The color drained from the girl's face. Her hand remained at her throat, now gripping the locket like a lifeline. Her eyes went wide, and Michael saw something there that made his blood run cold. Not confusion. Not disbelief. Recognition. Oh God, she whispered. Oh God, you're Michael. The world tilted. What? How do you? I need you to come with me. The girl's voice was urgent now, her hand reaching for his arm. Right now. Please. There's something you need to see. Someone you need to see. What are you talking about? Who are you? My name is Emily. She was pulling him now, leading him away from the market toward the parking lot. And I think I've been taking care of your wife. Emily's apartment was a modest walk-up on the east side of town, in one of those converted Victorian houses that had been divided into small units. Michael's hands shook as he followed her up the creaking stairs to the 2nd floor. His mind raced with impossible thoughts, with hope he didn't dare let himself feel. She doesn't remember anything, Emily said as she fumbled with her keys. Not her name, not where she came from, nothing before the night I found her. I've been calling her Grace because she needed a name, and she seemed to like it. Found her. Where? When? Emily pushed open the door. 3 years ago. The night of the storm. I was driving home from work. I was a night shift nurse at County General back then. And I saw someone stumbling along Route 47, about 2 miles from where the bridge collapsed. She was soaking wet, bleeding from a head wound, completely disoriented. Michael stepped into the apartment. It was small but tidy, filled with plants and artwork. Gentle afternoon light streamed through sheer curtains. And there, in the kitchen, standing at the sink washing dishes, was a woman with her back to them. Auburn hair, longer than Felicia used to wear it, falling past her shoulders. Slim build. The exact same height. She was humming something, a melody Michael didn't recognize. Grace, Emily said softly. Someone's here to see you. The woman turned around. Time stopped. It was Felicia. Older, thinner, with a scar running along her right temple that disappeared into her hairline. But it was undeniably, impossibly Felicia. His wife. His dead wife. Standing in a stranger's kitchen, looking at him with polite confusion in eyes that used to light up every time they saw him. Hello, she said, her voice cautious. I'm sorry, do we know each other? Michael couldn't breathe. Couldn't speak. Couldn't do anything but stare at the woman he'd mourned for 3 years, the woman he'd dreamed about every night, standing alive and well and looking at him like he was a stranger. Mike, Emily said gently, her hand on his arm. Mike, you need to breathe. Felicia, he managed to choke out. Your name is Felicia. Felicia Hammond. You're my wife. The woman, Felicia, Grace, whoever she was now, frowned slightly. I'm sorry, I think there's been a mistake. My name is Grace. I live here with Emily. No. Michael took a step forward, and Felicia took a step back instinctively. The movement broke his heart. No, your name is Felicia. We've been married for 12 years. We lived, at 247 Oak Street. You're a landscape architect. You love terrible reality TV shows and good red wine. You can't cook to save your life, but you make the world's best grilled cheese. You have a birthmark on your left shoulder blade shaped like a butterfly. You, Mike. Emily's voice was firmer now. You're scaring her. Michael looked at Felicia's face and saw fear there. Fear of him. He forced himself to take a breath, to step back. I'm sorry. I just... He turned to Emily. Tell me everything. How did this happen? They sat in the living room, Michael and Emily on the couch, Felicia in an armchair across from them, looking like she wanted to bolt at any moment. Emily explained how she'd found Felicia that night, soaking wet and bleeding, barely conscious. How she'd taken her to the hospital, where they'd treated a severe concussion and hypothermia. The doctors said the head trauma caused retrograde amnesia, Emily continued. They ran her fingerprints, her photo, tried to identify her through missing persons databases. But nothing came up. Because I was told she was dead, Michael said numbly. The police found her car in the ravine. Her purse was inside. They found her phone half a mile downstream. They said with the flooding, with how violent the current was that night, it was likely her body had been washed miles away. They searched for weeks. They told me she was gone. She must have gotten out of the car before it went over, Emily said. Somehow made it to the riverbank. But with the head injury, she couldn't remember who she was or where she was going. She's been living with me ever since. Michael looked at Felicia. She was staring at him with an expression he couldn't read. Do you remember anything? Anything at all? Felicia shook her head slowly. I have dreams sometimes. Fragments. House with blue shutters. A garden with roses. A man's laugh. A pause. Is that you? In my dreams. The blue shutters, that's our house. Our house. And the garden, you planted those roses yourself. Spent every weekend that first spring making sure they'd bloom. Michael's voice cracked. That laugh is probably me. You always said I laughed like a hyena. A ghost of a smile crossed Felicia's face, then vanished. I'm sorry. I want to remember. I've tried so hard to remember. But it's just empty. Like trying to grasp smoke. Emily reached over and squeezed Felicia's hand. The gesture was familiar, comfortable. These two had built a life together over 3 years. Friendship. Maybe more than friendship, judging by the way Emily looked at her. Why didn't you keep searching? Michael asked Emily, trying to keep the accusation out of his voice. Why didn't you keep trying to find out who she was? I did. Emily's eyes flashed. For months. But she wasn't in any database. No missing person report matched her description. And after a while, she didn't want to know anymore. She said whoever she was before, that person was gone. She wanted to start fresh, build a new life. So I helped her do that. You had no right. I saved her life. Emily stood up, her voice rising. That night, if I hadn't stopped, if I'd just driven past her, she would have died on that road. Took her in. I helped her heal. I gave her a home when she had nothing. She had a home. She had me. She didn't remember you. The words hung in the air like a slap. Michael looked at Felicia, who had tears streaming down her face now, her hands covering her mouth. I'm sorry, Felicia whispered. I'm so sorry. I can see how much you're hurting, and I wish I could be who you need me to be. But I don't know you. When I look at you, I feel nothing. No recognition, no connection. You're a stranger to me. Each word was a knife to Michael's heart. But looking at her face, really looking at it, he could see the truth. This wasn't his Felicia. His Felicia was gone. The woman sitting across from him might have the same face, the same voice, the same body, but the person inside was someone else entirely. The necklace, Michael said quietly. Why are you wearing it, Emily? Emily touched the silver moon at her throat. She was wearing it that night. It's the only thing she had from her past. She gave it to me 6 months ago on my birthday. Said it was the most valuable thing she owned, and she wanted me to have it. Michael closed his eyes. The necklace he'd chosen with such care, the symbol of his love for Felicia, now a gift between two women who didn't even know his name until today. "What do you want to do?" Emily asked softly. "I mean, legally, you're still her husband. You have rights. But she's not, she can't just go back to being your wife." "I know." Michael opened his eyes, looking at Felicia. "I know she can't. But maybe we could try. Not to recreate what we had, but to build something new. I could show you our life, our home. Maybe something would trigger a memory. Maybe." "No." Felicia's voice was gentle but firm. "I'm sorry, Michael. But this is my life now. Emily is my family. I know it's not fair to you. I know you've been mourning me and I'm standing right here, but I can't be your wife. I don't want to be. I like who I am now. I like the life I've built." Michael spent the next week in a fog. The police confirmed through dental records that Grace was indeed Felicia Hammond. But none of that mattered to Michael. What mattered was that his wife was alive and didn't want him. On the 7th day, Emily called. "She wants to see you. Can you come to the apartment?" When Michael arrived, Felicia was waiting on the front steps. "I've been thinking," she said. "I want to see the house. Understand who I was. Just once." They drove to Oak Street in silence. When they pulled into the driveway, Felicia stared at the blue shutters. "I know this place," she whispered. "I've seen it in my dreams." Inside, she moved through rooms like a ghost, her fingers trailing over furniture and photo frames. In the bedroom, she picked up their wedding photo. "She looks happy," Felicia said softly. "I look happy. You were. We both were." Michael told her everything. How they met, their first kiss in the rain, the proposal in Prague, the little things that made their life together. Felicia listened, tears streaming down her face. "I wish I could remember," she said when he finished. "But I can't. That person, that life. It's like watching a movie about someone else. So what now? Now I go back to Emily. Back to my life." He paused. "But maybe we could stay in touch. Not as husband and wife, but as friends." It wasn't what Michael wanted. But looking at her, he realized she was happy. Truly happy. "Okay," he said quietly. "Friends. I can do that." Felicia hugged him. "Thank you for loving her. For loving me, even when I was just a memory." When they arrived back at Emily's apartment, Felicia ran to Emily, who caught her in an embrace that spoke of love and home. Michael watched from the car, and instead of devastation, he felt peace. Emily walked over and held out the necklace. "This should be yours." Michael looked at the silver moon. "No, keep it. Felicia gave it to you. That makes it yours now." He smiled. "Take care of her, Emily." "I will. I promise." As Michael drove away, he looked in the rearview mirror. As Michael drove away, he looked in the rearview mirror. Felicia and Emily stood together, the necklace glinting at Emily's throat. His heart ached, but he had to let her go. 3 months later, Michael was reading in his living room when the doorbell rang. He opened the door, and there stood Felicia. But this time her eyes were different. There was recognition there. Warmth. Memory. "Michael," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I remember. Not everything, but enough. The house. The garden. Your laugh. Us." Michael's breath caught in his throat. "What, how?" "Being in our home, hearing our stories, it planted seeds. Over the past 3 months, the memories started coming back. Slowly at first, then like a flood." She stepped closer. "I remember loving you. And I think I still do." They embraced, both crying, both laughing, both overwhelmed by the impossible second chance they'd been given. Emily stood at the edge of the driveway, watching with a bittersweet smile. Felicia pulled away from Michael and walked to her friend, taking the necklace from Emily's neck. "Thank you," Felicia said, hugging Emily tightly. "You saved my life. You gave me a home when I had nothing. I will never forget what you did for me." Michael approached them. "Emily, because of you I have my wife back. I can never repay that." He pulled out an envelope. But I want you to have this. It's the deed to a house, paid in full. And enough money to finish your education, start your career, whatever you dream of doing. Emily's eyes widened. I can't accept. You can. You will, Felicia said firmly, pressing the envelope into Emily's hands. You gave me everything when I had nothing. Now it's our turn. Emily broke down in tears, hugging them both. As Emily drove away to start her new life, Felicia clasped the necklace around her own neck once more. She took Michael's hand and together they walked into their home, not the home of the past but the beginning of their future. For the first time in 3 years, Michael felt something he hadn't felt since the night Felicia disappeared. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I enjoyed telling it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful storytelling. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. My name is Gloria, and I will see you in the next story.